just think that sometimes it gets a little, we overstep that. We don't understand the honor, order, and authority. In the locker room, we hit it every time. Honor, order, and authority are so big. And so this is just really fun. We're really excited that we got our young leaders back in the room. Hey, school is out, so it's good to see you guys. This place should be filled, honestly, should be filled with students just learning. And it's great to have Aunt Farmer back as well as a teacher. We love having you too. So she's always in the classroom, so it's really great to see you. But anyways, we're going to get started with one of the, a piece of fruit. Tim always talks about fruit. We had a conversation last night, another guy and I, about fruit and being a fruit inspector. And you can tell in people's lives when you look at it, and you look at their children, you look at their heart, you look at their character, their integrity. And we get a chance to listen first today to learn from somebody that's sat at Tim's feet literally since he was born, walked into meetings that, honestly, most of us would beg to have an opportunity to get into meetings with, and just listen and learn. And so Blake has so much wisdom. He's got wisdom beyond his years. I hear how he talks about certain situations, and a lot of times I go, wow, where does he get that at such a young age? And I'm sorry, Blake, I almost feel like, it's still 23, but you're like 27 now, right? So, or 26, going to be 27, is that right? You got a birthday coming up. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun. So, but, Blake, you just always impress me when you get a chance. You get better and better in your delivery, and just what you always have to share. Just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for leading. Thank you for loving and being an example. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce my brother, Blake Goad.
He cut the mic off on me. That was good. He's testing my leadership skills and my technical skills there. That was good. You remember how to use a mic? Apparently not. No. Well, how are y'all doing today, G5 Leadership? I'm excited. Man, those lights are blinding me. I can barely see anything. That's great. I should be used to that by now, you know what I mean? But I'm excited to be at G5 Leadership today. It's awesome. Like Josh said, I'm excited to have our youngins back in the room. It's going to be going. I'm talking to all the old people, right? All the old people are the youngins in the room. And all the youngins are the old people in the room. Just saying. We're going to flip that for now. But I'm excited. I'm not going to be crazy long today because I want to get PT up here. But I want to talk about today. I want to jump right in. But the habit of being you. The habit of being you. In the last handful of leaderships we've been having, I've been covering the habits, different habits. And I found, doing research and listening to Dad, the habits you have in your life determine a lot of things in your life. And one of the habits, one of the habits I believe in your life you need to master is the habit of figuring out who you are. And you're saying, well, I'm confused. How is who you are a habit? One of the greatest things you can do in life is figuring out who you are, because who you are determines what you do. How you lead your life determines everything in your life. We all go through so much in our life, and we all go through fights and battles and things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. And one of the great things I remember Dad told me one time is in the moments you think you don't need to show up to see your friends or go to church or whatever it is the moment you truly need to be there. Is the moment sorry. Gotta love spit goes down the wrong pipe, huh? That's great. But the moment you feel the most empty is the moment you need to be filled up the most. The habit of who you are determines what you do. I love this. And leadership becomes not because leadership becoming is great not because of the power, but because of the ability to empower others. Who you are determines what you do. And that leads into point number 2 is who you are determines what you do. Habit number 2 I want you to help master is what you do. What are you doing? And you're saying, Blake, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but what am I supposed to be doing? We talk about this a lot here, and Dad says this all the time, but the 5 closest friends you have in your life will determine who you are. And it also determines who you become and what you do. And I am so thankful at a young age that Dad put people in our lives that he knew will help raise us to the standard of who he wanted us to become. What do you do? What do you do? I remember I'm so excited. My dad at a young age taught me, he says, Blake, you never know who's watching at all times. You never know who's watching. And I'm so excited. I'm glad you guys are here. But we have a couple here, and they have a little boy that's a drummer. He's a drummer. And he's been drumming since the age I started drumming. And it's so funny, as I remember they came up to me a couple weeks ago, and they were like, hey, you pulled out your stick, your light glow-up drumsticks. And our son instantly wanted to have a pair. And it just instantly, and I want to be very honest, it instantly took me back to going, you never know who's watching you at any moment. And you could say, Blake, well, that's just a pair of drumsticks that you just happen to pull out. Yeah, but you never know who's watching at any age, at any level, at any time, where you're at in your life. You never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. And you're saying, Blake, well, why is that so important? It's because that, in my opinion, who you are here and who you are at home is just as important because it's the same thing. People always say, Blake, is your dad and your mom and your sister and you, are you all the same people you are here at church? Are you the same at home? And I'm so thankful to say we are, and they are. And I'm saying, Blake, the key to knowing who you are helps you become who you want to be. The same, we say this all the same, but the same person you are here has got to be the same person you are at home, because if you're not, you're talking out two sides of your mouth. I love this. Transparency requires ruthless honesty and strategic wisdom. Transparency requires ruthless honesty and strategic wisdom. And you're saying, Blake, what does that have to do with what I do? One of the biggest things I encourage you is to get a mentor in your life. Because without a mentor, you will not know what you're supposed to do and who you are supposed to become. At a very young age, when my family found out I was dyslexic. So for y'all that don't know what dyslexic is, the simplest way to describe it is just imagine taking a filing cabinet and dumping it on the floor. That's how my brain works, pretty much. Now, and Farmer's probably going to correct me when I go off stage. He goes, that's not how it works. But that's how I know. That's how I like to explain it. So when I try to spell things or read things or do things, it takes me a little bit longer to do it than most people. But here's what I am thankful for is if it wasn't for me learning at a young age that I knew I had it, I wouldn't have known how to overcome it. And at a young age, my family got me around somebody that helped me understand how it's a good thing and not a bad thing. And I'm so thankful, and that person is Miss Farmer. I'm so thankful for her because she helped me. Woo! No, I'm going to give her I'm going to give you a bunch of grief before you start crying. It's okay? But I'm so thankful because at a young age, I used to sit and try to do school, and I used to cry that I was so mad. She'll tell you this, because I was so mad that I couldn't figure out how to do a piece of work of school. And it's not that I was mad that I couldn't do it. It's I was just mad because I knew I wasn't stupid, and I was like, why is this so hard for me to do? But the power of having somebody in your life to go, hey, this is who you are, and this is how you're going to overcome it. Let's figure out a strategy to get you around the hurdle to help you overcome the struggle. And that's where she came in and helped me. Now, I don't know if we got schoolwork done or if I mostly got just messing with her done. That's what she has a whole notebook at home filled out of things that I used to, like, when I would read out sentences and stuff, and I used to read it wrong. She needs to pull that out. We seriously should pull that out someday and show people how funny I actually am. This is great, yeah. But I love that because how many of you know my parents got somebody in my life that came into a part of my life that I needed a mentor in, and I struggled with, and they said, here's how somebody that can help you overcome the struggle. Now, how many of you know as humans, it's hard to admit that we need help? I believe one of the greatest things in life is realizing that we need help and admitting it. And I was so thankful that my parents realized I needed help and helped me understand that it was okay to ask for help. It was okay to ask for help. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you cheap. It doesn't make you anything. It helps you understand that, hey, it's okay to struggle because the struggle makes you better. I love this quote. It says, successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. Successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. That is bigger than you realize right there. And I love this. You don't raise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. The things you have in your life set to help you get through your day will ultimately either help you or hurt you. Help you or hurt you. You know, I love what Mother Teresa said. She says, everybody comes into your life as a blessing and everybody comes into your life as a lesson. I believe that. I believe you can take a lesson from anything you do in life. Any situation, anything you go through, anything you can, you know, I love my dad always taught me at an early age, is never focus on where you've been, but never forget where you came from. One of the greatest things in life that my dad, and I just said it, but another way to put it is he showed me, Blake, yes, you had struggles as a kid. Yes, you dealt with these things. But that's in the past. Remember, you overcame it, but it never held you down. Remember, you overcame it, but it never held you down. Remember the struggles. Remember the lessons you learned from the struggles, not the struggles. That's huge. I love this. Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. But working hard for something we love is called passion. Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. But working hard for something we love is called passion. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? Here at G5, one of the biggest passions we have is for people. Because we know if it wasn't for people, we would not be able to do what we do. Our ministry is people. I remember Sunday you all brought your little boy. And I had the privilege of letting him sit on my drum set. Now you're going to say that he loved it. I'm sure he had a blast. But you have no idea how much that blessed me. Because it reminded me of being his age. And realizing how much I loved it. And realizing the future I could have with it. And it reminded me, it took me back to going, why, and it showed me why am I still doing this? And it's for little guys like him that I know that want to do it. And I get to set the example of what it could be. So I want to encourage you to never forget where you came from, but always remember where you're going. And never forget somebody's always watching. Somebody's always watching, no matter where you are. The third point, the third habit I want you to work on is where are you going? At a very young age, my dad encouraged me to have dreams. Set goals, set visions in my life, set a dream to where I want. I always say a dream is what you want, a vision is how you're going to carry it out. The action steps of doing it. And you're saying, Blake, well, I don't know what I want. I was taught at a young age to never dream. I have so many friends that say, I don't know what's available. Well, one of the first things I want to encourage you is if you don't know what's available, find out what you want that's available that you can have. What is a passion of yours? We have so many people here that they love gardening, or they love painting, or they love music. Well, what is available in that area that you're passionate about? What is something in that area that you want to do that you didn't know that was available? Because here's what I found out. Once you figure out what you want, it'll help you become who you are. And it'll turn into what you do. And the greatest thing I want to encourage you is never leave people behind while you're doing it. And she'll be like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by never leave people behind? There's so many times where I'll go do something, and I'll text 5 or 6 people and say, hey, what are you doing this next Thursday night or whatever? And I'll invite them. Even if it's something they don't like, but I'll invite them to the people that are going, that I know that are going, because they'll go to the people and not the thing, and then they'll fall in love with the thing we went to. Think about that. Think about that. Like, I probably shouldn't announce this, but here soon, we're going to what are we doing, Junior? What's it called? The game? So we have a bunch of people that love Super Smash Bros. Here at G5. I've never played it before in my life. But they love video games. But how many of you know we're doing this G5 Smash Bros. Tournament here at G5, and I don't know a thing about Super Smash Bros. Except Mario's in it, maybe. Is he in it? I don't know. But he's in it. But how many of you know I can invite people to go and say, hey, so-and-so is going to be here, so-and-so is going to be here, and so-and-so is going to be here. Would you want to come hang out with my friends that I know you could connect with? I could care less about Super Smash Bros. But I know I could care about the people that are going to be interested in what they're doing. I love them because what I found out is what I do in my life is people. I love people with a passion. Sometimes my dad's got to help me out with this because I have no patience for people sometimes. And I just want to go and be like, excuse me, what are you doing? Like, I just want to let them have it at the moment. Because I realize that they're doing something wrong and I want to help them get over it. But my dad comes in and goes, hey, bro, we might want to try to attempting that a different way. I'm like, I want to take him out back and strangle him. But how many of you know that's the unleadership side, that you got to move into the leadership side and going, hey, I got to be patient with people. I always joke with people because people are like, I pray for patience. I'm like, I don't. Because when you pray for patience, God will put somebody in your life that'll teach you patience. And I have to live with Heath, so that's no kidding. No. Shots fired. No, but how many of you know we got to have fun in life? Now, I may have to do some counseling sessions with Heath to get over that later, but But how many of you know if you don't love the people you're doing life with, it's not worth doing? What are you doing? I want to ask you, every day you get up, I want you to write this on a piece of paper and stick it on your mirror. What are you doing today? What are you doing today? Because what you are doing today will determine what you do in 10 years. And so you're saying, Blake, I don't know how to think 10 years in advance. Well, think a day in advance, and it'll grow into 10 years in advance. I did a leisure talk a couple months ago about habits and starting habits small. I want you to encourage you to go back and listen to it. The smaller the habit you start, it'll eventually grow into a bigger habit than you didn't realize it grew into. What you say to yourself every day will determine who you become. When I was young, people used to laugh at me at the confidence I had. And they used to think I was this arrogant little kid because I used to say I was the greatest drummer in the world. And they were like, dude, you're not the greatest drummer in the world. I'm like, I know I'm not. But I have to say it to believe it to get me to grow to where I need to be. I used to come around and be like, I'm better than most drummers out there. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, I know. But in order to get to where they are, I have to get my mindset in where they're already at. And it's so funny is I always encourage little kids whenever they come around, they're always like, what did you do to practice every day on drums? Now, I hate to admit this, and I'm sorry to all the musicians out there that listen to this, but I've probably never practiced drums. Never practiced. And that is probably not a good thing. Because if I practice, I could get better at it. But what I found is if I practiced by listening. And you're saying, what's the difference between practice and playing and practice and listening? The other day we were driving down the road and I was listening to a song and I was like, wait a minute, I know that. And I had listened to a song so much that I had applied what I had heard to what I did. I didn't have to sit at that drum kit for 6 hours and do this over and over again. Once you hear it enough, you will eventually believe it, and then you'll do it. What you hear determines who you are and where you go. How many of you know what you put in every day? We had a buddy come to us, to my dad, and he said, I don't know what's going on. My business isn't doing as good as it was. And my dad goes, what are the small habits you changed in your life in the last week? And he said, well, I stopped getting up early, and he said, I stopped listening to tapes and audios and positive things in my life. What you listen to determines the outcome of your day. So having a vision, having a dream, knowing what's available. The greatest thing my dad and mom ever did for my sister and I is showing us what's available, but helping us remember where we came from, but knowing we can have this. The struggle. They never gave us anything, but they helped us understand that we could achieve everything. I love this. Leadership requires two things: a vision of the world that does not exist, and the ability to communicate it. What is something in your life that you have a vision for, but you have not shared the vision of it yet? And you're saying, Blake, I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to say it. I want to encourage you, if you don't know how to say it, write it down. Write it down. Write down what you want to accomplish and put it on your wall and look at it every single day. Every day. Every day. I love this. The role of a leader is to not come up with the great ideas. The role of a leader is to create an environment where the ideas can come to life. What kind of environment are you in? The greatest environment you can be in is where you're heard and you can give your idea. You know, it's so funny as we talk about it all the time, but we have so many people that come here and they're like, well, I have all these great ideas. And I remember my dad told me one day, and he said, Blake, what we have here is we have an environment where ideas can be shared and people can be heard. And then we can go from there. The greatest thing people want in life is to know that their idea was considered. And once it's considered, that doesn't mean it has to be chosen, but they love the idea of something they said was considered and may be applied to what is happening. And I want to encourage you. I know it's been a long time since I said this quote, and I love this quote, and I'm going to end with this. But I heard this quote a long time ago, and it really stuck with me. And it's really cool. And I want you all to write it down. I want you to print it out if you can remember it. If you don't get it now, I can get it to you later. But it simply says that your logo, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, and how you leave others after an interaction is your trademark. So the habits in your life will determine how you leave people feeling after interaction. So I want to encourage you is understand and figure out who you are. What do you do? And where are you going? And if you need help figuring that out, please come. We would love to help you walk through that and walk through life with that. Can we do that with y'all? So without further ado, I'm going to bring the man up that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. A lot of you will catch that joke later. And I haven't said that joke in a long time, but I got to say that joke. But I love this man so much. So will you please help my amazing father, Mr. Tim Goad.
Don't you love when you make a statement and you're not really sure what it meant? It meant that you are incredibly, incredibly important. I love it. Welcome to our leadership taping. I'm so glad you're here. It's great to see you, and I'm glad to see we have such young students in the room. And then we have some kids in here too, so all you all are so young. I love it. Man, Blake, that was incredible. Wow. Mercy. That's got to blow your mind, Mrs. Farmer, because I have dyslexia too. I thought I was stupid my whole life. It's amazing how you get branded, right? But what is amazing about dyslexia, when we had him tested before we even knew you, the psychologist came out and said, he's got dyslexia and it normally is handed down from somebody. And I'm sitting there going, Gay, you're a hot mess. My wife's name is Gay. And my wife looked at me and said, no, that's probably you. And but the thing about them is that they just don't give up. And Mrs. Farmer, when she would train him and teach him, she would go, the kid just has got no give up in him. And so I love that. I will tell you, I've got some really talented women in my life, my wife and my daughter. They're just beyond measure. They're gifts, and I'm grateful and I'm so proud for them. But little will you know that the most gifted, talented of all of us is him. And you're going to be seeing that come out in ways that'll blow your mind. I love having you here. We'll get started now. Are you ready? If you're ready, say ready. And you can talk to me while I talk to you today. It'll be good. I'm trying to get a minute. Junior met me at the car and grabbed my notebooks, and I was in a coaching session with a dear friend of mine that literally 2.5 years ago, he didn't think he could do $1 million a year. And right now, he's crossing 50 million, and we're going to 100 million. So when I walk into a room like this and I look at you, I can't help but imagine, with a few changes in your life, how different your life could be. I'm not saying money is everything. It is close to oxygen, I think. But how many of you know money is not to be worshiped or loved, but it is to be leveraged? And so here's the question in your life. How do you get more effective and efficient in whatever you love to do? I don't care what you do. But I can tell you, the only way that you can get to a different place in life is to change. Now, how many of you know that life will change on you? So you either get to chase change, embrace change, or create change. You get to chase it, embrace it, or create it. And the greatest thought leaders that I know embrace change. Now, it's always a little painful for me to have a leader come to me, and I know they have a dream and a goal, but I don't think they understand how much a little bit of change hurts. It hurts. Just changing a routine, changing the way you think and process, changing the way you speak, changing from being negative to be a positive person, changing from being a person that is full of gratitude instead of complaining and grumbling, changing from being a judger of people to lover of people, changing from, honestly, letting people just do whatever they want inside your company to say, no, these are our values. These are our behaviors. These are the things that we do that make all the difference in the world. So I can tell you that it's totally possible to learn how to change your life and live your dreams. I want you to write that statement down. And I want you to put it in your words to you. It is totally possible for me to learn how to change my life and live my dreams. It might not feel like you could do that. It might not feel like it, but it's true. It is amazing to me how God uses visions and dreams in your life. I believe that all dreams come from God. If you don't have a dream, I want to talk to you. And I don't care if you're 2 years old or you're 102. You've got to have a vision for your life. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, you will misuse and abuse everything in your life. You will begin to want the wrong things and do the wrong things because there is no vision. So if you look around, you will always find somebody who is willing to grow and change that grew up in the same place you grew up. Have you ever noticed that? They may have grew up in the same circumstances, the same conditions, but they grow and change. And so I want you to know, because it's possible to change, doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to change. If you think change is easy, just try to change your lifestyle at some level. Change how you communicate when somebody gets in your presence. Change one little thing in your life and watch how difficult it can truly be. But if you've made a consideration to change, I can tell you that it will be more valuable than you could ever imagine in your life. every day of my life, I get up and I always have my time alone with the Lord. I'm not trying to offend somebody that if you're in business, you listen to this, but this is me. It's what I do. And then I always take just a few minutes to reflect in my life on what is it that I'm doing right now, that if I could change it, I could be more efficient and more effective. Anybody besides me want to get more done in less time? Anybody besides me, honestly, in business, and I am a businessman, okay? I coach a lot of leaders. I coach a lot of pastors. And you wonder how you get all this time down because, truthfully, when you're in your sweet spot, work does not drain you. It energizes you. And so I put in a lot of margins in my life to make sure I can stay healthy. And these were changes that I had to make in my life. So whether I was changing my perspective, I want you to write that down, please. My career or the place that I lived, I learned one thing over and over again. In order to change anything around me, I first have to change myself. In order for me to change anything around me. Now, this goes against what most of us are thinking right now. Do you know what most of us are thinking? We're thinking if they would change, then I would change. And that's not where you're called to be as a leader. You're called to lead change, but not just any change. You're called to bring positive change. Anytime a leader walks into any environment, they look at the culture, they look at the dysfunction, they remove the dysfunction, and when you remove the dysfunction, growth is automatic. So you got to ask yourself today, what is it that I'm doing dysfunctionally? And I just want to pause for a second, okay? Dysfunctional people do not feel comfortable in functional environments. And functional people definitely do not feel comfortable in dysfunctional environments. Can I get a hey, that's right there? Yeah, you're doing good. Let's do it one more time. Hey, that's right. Yeah, so here's what I want to ask you. You teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are. So what are you? What am I? What am I as a man? What am I as a father? What am I as a husband? What am I as a pastor? Because all of these are very different roles. And it's easy to succeed in one area of your life where you're in a great deficit in another area of your life. So what are the changes you need to make? I think you would understand that to truly change others around me and to be a change in this world, it begins with me changing me. Maybe that's why this prayer is so critical. God, create a new heart in me. Help me see people differently. There was a time in my life that I was young and very ambitious. I'm still young and very ambitious. But can I tell you, there was a time in my life where I had to win at all costs. And now I find way more joy in seeing other people win than even me win. I love winning, but can I tell you, the joy in my life is if you get to meet my wife and my children, the joy of my life is watching them win. I had a friend of mine, he loved basketball, he played on a league, and his son started playing basketball. And he called me one day and he goes, Tim, I get way more joy out of watching my son than I do even playing myself. Changes. It's easier said than done though, right? Way. Still, if you want to get motivated, if you want to be your own boss, if you want to lead yourself, if you would like to move to Italy, I think I'd like to move to Italy. I wouldn't even mind opening a church in Italy. And I wouldn't mind having a G5 jet that I just left here full of you all. And we took the country of Italy meal by meal while we led people to the throne of grace. Can I get it, amen? I just think it would be great. It would be so much fun. I'd love to see you sitting on the seat in the G5 jet flying with me. And I get about where we're going to land. And I come by and I go, hey, I need you to write $1 million check because we're going to buy a building right in the middle of where everybody lives. And we're going to put up something that's going to change your life. And we're going to present the message that will change your life. Can I get a, hey, that'd be good, that'd be fun. So I don't know what your dream is. I don't know if you're single and you want to fall in love. I don't know if you want to be a great restorer in the land. There's no greater thing in life, I don't believe, that other than loving God with all your heart, than being a restorer, a reconciler. And it's powerful. So how do you change your life? I'm glad you asked. Number one, decide to change your life. You got to decide. You got to make a decision right now that says, you know what? I'm going to change my life. Now, you guys are so young, you will never know this cartoon called Popeye. But if you have never seen Popeye, he is a great theologian. And have you ever seen him? Oh, can you do Popeye? I would like you to learn how to do it. She does voices. I would love for you to learn Popeye's voice, because Popeye would just say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Can I get a, yeah, that's right. See, you got to get sick and tired of where you are, of allowing your dreams and visions and your life to be squashed and broken. And you got to love something more than you love the thing that's trying to destroy you. Can I get a, that's right? I know I'm right there, man. So it may sound obvious, but this is probably the most difficult part of changing in your life. I will tell you, every one of us have an invitation right now to go to a whole nother level. And there is no way that anything in your life is going to get better without you first changing you. Here's the power. Here's the problem. Is if you go to Barnes & Noble or you go to Amazon and you order a book on how to change your life, and they come up with all these great statements, here's the challenge. They give you no power to make the change. And even if you make a change, watch this, you can't sustain the change. So what I get to do in life is I get to walk beside leaders. I get to pastor. I get to coach leaders and helping them find the power that can sustain them in making the change. So I think the most difficult part of all of this is deciding, I'm going to change this. Something is going to change. I think a leader wakes up every day in his life or her life and says, this is changing today. I'm not tolerating so that it becomes permanent in my life. The greatest single miracle in all the world, do you know what it is? I can be tomorrow what I'm not today. This is big. So I can tell you, I've had a lot of conversations in my life with a lot of people that tell me they want to make significant changes in their life, but it never seems to happen. Why? Because it's tough to change. It's really tough. In fact, changing your life may be the most challenging and uncomfortable thing you will ever do in your life. In a moment of enlightenment, somebody can say, oh God, change my life. And God is going to say back to you, I will never step over your will. You have got to make the decision to make the changes, and I will give you the power. That's bigger than any of us know. So in your life, some of you right now need to, I'm talking to you, you need to swap out this addiction to safety and comfortable to get on the roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship. Go in business for yourself, but not by yourself. In other words, changing your life means I'm going to make some tough decisions. So how badly How badly do you want to change? Do you want to remain or do you want to change? If you want to change, get ready. I always, when I talk to people that are going through life and they're making bad decisions, I ask them, is this who you are or something you're doing? Because if it's who you are, we got a very different path than it's just I'm making poor choices. Hosea said, my people are destroyed daily for their lack of knowing. So I think you need to wake up every day in your life and say, what am I doing out of ignorance that is causing me not to have the life that I was created to live? Are you all right? Yes. So I want you to get like really intense right now. Are you ready? I mean, I'm talking about like, and I want you to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to make the change because I've decided I'm going to make the change. Anybody besides me sick of me? I'm sick of me. You're probably sick of me too. But I can tell you right now, I think you got to look inside and go, I'm not tolerating this anymore. That will not be the legacy of my life. I will make the changes I need. So, what is it? Decide. Number 2, learn to embrace discomfort. Learn to embrace it. If you want to learn how to change your life, be willing to risk the embarrassment that says, I got to change my life. Embrace it. Most of us run from anything that causes pain in our lives, but I've never really had anything in my life that was really worth anything that did not cost me some pain. How many of you know if you forgive somebody, that can be very painful? I just got off the phone with a leader that was telling me about his life. And he said, can you tell me what's wrong in my relationship? And I said, because the person you're with has never forgiven. What is it about forgiveness that makes me feel like I'm letting somebody go scot-free? Learn to embrace discomfort. Be prepared to say goodbye. Goodbye. Write that down. Goodbye to my comfort zones. Hello, growth zone. I'm ready. You see, the enemy wants you to stay stuck in your yesterday mistakes, and your maker wants you to be recreated into miracles. That's why when people come to me, I don't spend a lot of time spending on yesterday. I want to ask you, where do you want to go? What is your vision? And let's start creating that. You become that person, not the person that sometimes you're ashamed of, or you're going, I'm not performing at my highest. Anybody that gets around me and stays close to me, I'm going to probably be pushing. I will be talking to you at some point about being in business for yourself and stepping out of the comfort zone into the most incredible growth zone you could ever imagine. The very essence of growth is to move beyond what you've experienced before. I gotta say that again, okay? The very essence of growth is to move beyond what you've experienced before. There's nothing worse, I don't think, than to watch somebody teach something that doesn't work. Are you with me? And I gotta tell you, if you follow the American thought, it's get a good job, get a good education, and you'll have the most incredible life. Do you realize now we live in a society? A few short years ago, one person would get one job for life. And now, the newest statistics is the average person will have 3 careers before they retire. That's crazy. Learn to embrace discomfort. You gotta break new ground. Billy Cox was Jimi Hendrix's bass guitar player. once said, life will only change when you become more committed to your dreams than you are your comfort zone. Every day of your life, you got to leave somewhere to get to the place you should be. And the quicker you can leave it, the more joy you'll have in your life. So get into the habit of stepping out of your comfort zone at every opportunity. Be the first to say, I'm going for it. And by the way, can I just tell you, I want you in this room, I want you right now in the video, I want you all over the globe. I want you to become the person that not only leaves your comfort zone, but encourage those around you to leave and help them if you can. I had a guy this week, I said, hey, you want to start your own business? I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll help you. Do you know why? I believe that work is a divine act from God. It's not a drudgery. I've learned more from work than anything you could ever imagine in my life. I've learned a lot about attitude, disappointment, faith, hope, passion, fire, and vision. And I got to tell you, I'm trying to convince a bunch of my buddies that are my age right now is don't retire. Refire. Get that fire back in your bones, and God will give you strength beyond anything imagined. It blows my mind right now to watch 45, 48-year-old guys trying to figure out how to slow down. Now, I believe in a balanced life, and I will tell you, I will work really, 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 really hard, and then I play really hard. And I can't wait to be really transparent with you. My favorite person in the world to be with is my wife, and I love hanging out with her. And I love sneaking away with her. And I love looking her in the eyes. Last night at Locker Room for Men last night, I went over husbands, love your wife. And I can go through all the spiritual stuff, but can I tell you, I got to go through the practical. Are you with me? And then we step into it. So, for example, how do you step out of your comfort zone? Are you ready? These are so practical. And so here you go. Don't order the same food twice a week. Now, I'm going to tell you how regimented I am. I can eat the same thing for lunch because I don't like thinking about it. To me, ordering a meal in a restaurant is the greatest waste of time I could ever see in my life. Just bring me something hot that tastes good. Can I get, you got some flavor in it, and I'm going to be fired up. Listen to different kinds of music. I was raised that if you listened to any other music than worship music, you were going to split hell wide open. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was also raised that if you made money, you were going to hell. I'll never forget, I started a business when I was 23, and God blessed it, and I was making so much money, and I went, oh, I'm going to hell because I'm making money. And how many of you know God will gift you to make money so that you can bless what God's doing in this earth and do something bigger than you? The other thing, I encourage you to watch an eye-opening documentary. Something that just you would have never looked at. It might be how an amoeba is born. But stretch your mind. You know why this is important? Because you're going to have a conversation with somebody, and if all you know is one singular thing, you're going to be boring. You got to be able to learn how to talk to country boys as well as Wall Street bankers. You got to have both sides. It's really important. You're not going to like this one. Are you ready? Sign up for a fitness challenge. We're doing a 5K here this fall. I implore you. Come walk, run, bike, crawl. I don't care what you got to do. I may even let motorcycles in this year. But I'm telling you, do something. Here's a big one. Take a different route home. My wife and I run every morning, and we walk. And sometimes I'll come out of the house, and I'll just go, babe, can we just go a different way? Can we just go a different way? Are you so regimented that you stay in your comfort zone. Here's another one. Are you ready? Text someone you haven't spoken to in years. Find them. Embrace change at every turn. Matter of fact, I want you to write down, lead change. That is positive. I'm going to give you this third one. I have 10 of these. We'll do the next at next leadership, okay? Number 3, identify why you want to change your life. If somebody comes to me and asks me to help them, at some point in time, I'm going to look them in the eye and go, why do you want to change that? What is your motivation for it? You know, people change in life when they hurt enough and when they receive enough. It's really possible in life. I want you to hear me for a second. To know I need to make changes, but I feel so overwhelmed because I don't know how to make the change that I give up before I get started. You're just going. You have no idea how many leaders come to me and said, I told them what to do. I said, yeah, you gave them information. They still don't know how to do it. You can tell me all you want to tell me, but until you show me how to do it, I'm stuck with a bunch of information. And you've got to know this. What you know is keeping you from knowing what you need to know. So, identifying why you want to change your life. When working out how to change your life, it's often easier to start by determining what you don't want before you start exploring what you do. One of my mentors in my life, I love him. I will always be grateful for him. He owned the world's largest airplane company, bought and sold and leased jets all over the world. And he would introduce me to these guys that owned private jets, and he would take me with him. And one day I was with him, and he just had this life that was like Great Gatsby. And I've always known that, I'm just being very personal with you today. I've always known my calling was ministry. I knew it. And so I was willing to honestly give up sports. I was pretty gifted as a quarterback. I was pretty gifted as a runner. I was pretty gifted in the areas of these things in my life. And there comes a choice in life where you've got to say, I've got to choose the priority of my life. And priority leads to why. But I was with Wayne one day. His name was Wayne Hilmer. And I looked at him and said, I just want to know what you know. I just want to know what you know. This man probably helped me more than you could even imagine, because he looked me in the eye. He owned all these jets. He sold jets to Delta. I mean, he was big. Cigarette racing boats. I'd had so much fun with him. And he looked me in the eye and he goes, son, you know, I get emotional. He said, you know exactly why I do what I do. He said, what I'm trying to figure out is why you do what you do. It's one thing to live for something that has no eternal value. It's another thing to give your life for something that will never die. But it takes this thing called starting with why. I would tell you that right now, if you want to figure out what you want, you might want to start with what I don't want. I don't want to live like this. I don't want this to be the story of my life. By the way, this is the beginning of all recovery. It's called repentance. I make a turn. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to do the dysfunctional things that caused that in me. I'm going to make the changes that I need. And when you do, I want you to write down the aspects of your life right now that you do not like. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. I want you to write down the aspects of your life that you do not like. Do you hate your job? Do you dislike where you live? I want to encourage you right now to get wisdom. I want you to get wisdom. In your friends right now, are you happy? Are the people in your life, are they for you? I wrote a book called How to Stop Self-Defeating Behaviors. If you've never read it, I would encourage you to get it. But in your life, there are 10 things that you need to know in order to stop self-defeating in your life. And one of it is those closest to you will determine the level of your success. So let me ask you, are there destructive things in your life? Are there circumstances in your life you need to overcome? I just want to encourage you right now, don't keep focusing and dwelling on the things that destroy your life. Start looking to the things that encourage your life and inspire your life and cause you to be a better man or a better woman or a higher performer in life. You realize tomorrow morning you can wake up and live life at a completely different level. Most people tolerate their lives. They don't lead their lives. And so the first step of leadership is I've got to lead me. So it's time to get creative. How do you want to transform your life? Perhaps you'd like to, number one, start a business. If you were going to start a business, I would ask you, what would you like to start? What are you great at? I have a lot of guys come to me and we're starting businesses, and it's amazing what's happening in life. And I love it because the Bible says all of you were created by God to do a good work. And the enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to divide. He wants to devour. What is it in your life right now that you could start a business or join another business? I have so many guys around me. How about moving from where you are to another place? Right now, we've got people on their way from literally all across America that are moving here to be a part of this G5 culture. And we got to build buildings. You come here, we got people sitting on the floor with every chair, taking up more chairs. And can I tell you, it's a really great thing. And then we're doing that more. Can I tell you, that's all. But can I tell you, people are leaving the dead place. Some of us get so loyal in the wrong place that we miss the greatness. Changing careers, traveling. I just want you to write these down so you have. Make new friends, take up a new hobby. How about this one? Perhaps it's time for you to let go of the past. How about stop procrastinating? How about growing your confidence? How about sticking to your morning routine? In your life right now, what are the changes that you need to make? Whatever it is, as soon as you think of an idea, there may be a voice in your head that says, that's a stupid idea. Discouragement is the number one tool of the enemy. And that voice is so afraid of change that it will try to convince you not to make the change. I tell men all the time, there comes a time when the little boy has to sit down and the man has to stand up. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I tell women, there comes a time when the little girl has to sit down and the woman has to stand up. We need to be creating environments, like my son just talked about, where leaders can bring ideas and dreams. It doesn't mean I get my way. It just means, hey, here's a thought. Hold on to ideas very loosely. Anything is possible. I wouldn't normally quote Madonna, but here you go. No matter who you are, no matter what you did, no matter where you come from, you can always change to become a better person. I would encourage you, the last one is identify the things that can hold you back. You know, truthfully, the only thing that can stop you is you. Dysfunctional behavior, the lack of accountability. Identify any habits, reoccurring thought patterns, and people in your life that could hold you back. So let me give you some for instances here, and then I close, and I'll finish this next leadership. Do you procrastinate a lot? Now, I'm going to get down and dirty for a second, okay? Do you wait a long time before you text somebody back that texts you? Are you addicted to anything? Do you beat yourself up with negative self-talk? Are there negative people in your life who discourage you from trying? If you're struggling with just a few of these and many more, it could stop you from transforming your life. If you're bitter, if you're angry, if you're resentful, if you're not focused, if something has got your attention that shouldn't have your attention, if you have not built safety nets around you. I have 12 men in my life that I do not make a move, a major move. And my wife has complete access to everything in my life. I'm encouraging every man that is close to me to put these in. I had a friend just call me and ask me about something in their life. They live in way out west, but the question was, I just asked them where they were going, and they said, stop treating me like my mother. And I would get emotional because I was thinking, the most loving thing you could ever do is over communicate. Hey baby, I just want you to know. So I'm just asking you, if you're a man in my life, I'm going to ask you to join me in the freedom of accountability. The freedom of accountability. In your life right now, if you're struggling to see what could stop you from transforming your life, I would beg you to open your life for people to look in and go. How many of you would agree with me, and I'm closing, that it's easy to get started? The longer I'm on this planet, I'm starting to realize how tough it is to finish. But if I'm going to make changes, I'm going to stop living for me, and I'm going to start living for these words. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Now, I want you in the next 30 days to start writing down changes that you could make with your dreams applied to it. And I want you to just get real practical. We got this Colorado truck, but can I tell you what I really want? I want a big diesel truck that has a stereo in it so loud that when I pull up, people will go, "Pastor's here." And I may have a worship song on, or I may have a little rap song on, but we're going to have some fun, man. You know what I'm talking about? What are you dreaming about? How can we take your life, your gift, your talent, your energy, your passion, your fire, your uniqueness, and turn it into something that as you grow it, it grows you, and it grows everyone around you? Listen, one of the greatest indicators in my life is, am I growing? And are the people I'm leading growing? Are we getting better? Let's make the changes, all right? I love you. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. Charge, all right? Let's get it done.